Hey guys, welcome back to Andy's Dinosaur Reviews, and today we are going to take a look at the final of the Papo 2020 figures. This is the Megaloceras, and it is a figure that myself and many have been waiting for a very long time because everything seems to have been delayed significantly this year due to the pandemic. This figure, of course, was announced last year around this time, so we've been waiting for a pretty long time, I guess a year, for this figure to finally be released, and luckily it just recently came into stock on everythingdinosaur.com. I placed an order for this and the female Velociraptor, and here we are now to take a look at it. And just like I had expected, it is a beautiful figure. However, I actually wasn't positive at one point that this figure was going to show up looking quite nice because I had seen quite a few images of others online and I wasn't exactly enthusiastic about what I had seen in those images. I thought it looked a little bit underwhelming as far as the actual paintwork goes, but I can definitely say that in person it is really quite beautiful. Of course, not as nice as the promotional images, but still pretty darn nice overall. So, without further ado, let's go ahead and get a closer look at it right now.
So starting up here at the head sculpt, you can see some really nice detailing to the face of the Megaloceras, and you can see just generally some beautiful fur detail up here on the face. The eye is painted beautifully. It has a nice yellowish coloration and a very large black pupil in there. You can also see that it is glossed really nicely, so it has that very realistic eye shine to it. The nose up here on the front of the snout is also really nicely done, beautifully painted with a black, and also given a pretty darn nice gloss coat to it. Pretty similar to what we see up there on the eye. You can see the eye on this side also looks great overall. You can see that the mouth is really nicely defined with a darker coloration as well, so that looks really good. Beautiful coloration up here on the face with some nice dark browns, and then it transitions to like a black. You can see a little bit of hair hanging off of the underside of the chin area of our Megaloceras. The antlers are awesome, really beautiful as far as the sculpt goes. Nice minute detailing included within. You can see lots of like cracks and crevices, making them look just generally quite realistic. And I like that they've also kind of darkened the tips, and just generally within them you can see quite a few different shades of color. Like you can see some nice darker shades have been included. You also have like some browns and everything, like some orangish browns showing up in certain spots, and they are extremely appealing looking, I think. You can see the same deal from up above. It's a very realistic and very nicely done look for the antlers of the Megaloceras. Really, really gorgeous work as far as that goes. Then leading down into the neck, you can see again lots of really nice fur detail. It looks really big and scruffy as far as the fur in the neck region goes, and it's all painted with a nice black coloration. So I think it kind of stands out a little bit just with how dark it is. You would think it would do the opposite, but I actually think it does stand out because of that darker coloration, and just generally makes it look like a very proud animal. As you progress further down into the body, you could see kind of like an off-white showing up here that runs up along the chest and then kind of stripes up in two areas on the side of the Megaloceras, as well as an area of brown fur up here on the top, which is a different shade of brown than we see elsewhere on the figure. So we do have quite a bit of very nice color variation included. As you move down the front leg, really nice muscle tone that is perfectly displayed throughout the sculpt as far as the musculature of the Megaloceras. Even down here into the hooves, you can see they are painted beautifully. Really nice realistic coloration for the hooves, nice black coloration. It's all applied in perfect fashion overall. It looks really, really good. Coming back up here into the stomach region, you can just see some really nice structure of the animal, of the body type of the animal. Beautiful tones of brown included as well, and it's very nice transitioning back and forth between those colors, nice and smooth. Very realistic transitioning, I think. And you have an area that has kind of like a grayish dry brushing right there, which looks pretty good, but it's not the most realistic actual application of the paint right there, but it still looks pretty good, I think. It's not anything that is like a downside to the figure. It's just not perfectly applied, but still, again, adds a little bit of flashiness and just generally some more color variation. You can see the hip right here nicely sculpted out and elaborated a little bit, as well as some more nice muscle tone as we move down the back leg. Some beautiful fur detail. Actually, throughout the entire figure, the fur detail looks great. It's very nice and kind of fine fur here on the side of the animal, even running down the legs, but kind of scruffier fur right here, which looks really cool. Nice leg sculpt here on the back, and then the underside also sports some really nice detailing. Again, actually some nice paint variation, as you can see a few different tones of color included here on the underside as well, which is something that I do always love to see. Looking at the opposing side, again, you can see that kind of off-white that stripes up here along the body, that beautiful fur detail. Again, that very nice, large, scruffy area of fur up here on the back with that brownish coloration, and then it transitions to that kind of more fine appearance to the fur, and the really nice transitioning back and forth between the dark blacks and the browns. Just really, really looking nice and natural overall on the figure. Very nice leg sculpts on this side. Again, you can really see the musculature displayed in this leg as the animal clearly has that leg planted, looking again very nice and proud right there, but you can see that the muscles are tensed really nicely because of the positioning of the leg and how it's really planted into the ground. Very nice attention to detail on the part of Papo. Continuing to move back into the stomach, again, you can actually see a little bit of girth in the stomach region as well, so it looks like a decently well-fed animal. The hip bone, again, looks pretty good, and the rear leg also looks fantastic. And then you have the little tail here at the end of our Megaloceras. So this is a gorgeous figure and the very first Megaloceras that I have to add into my collection.
As far as a size on our Megaloceras goes, I'd say from the back of the tail there to the snout, you're looking at about 4¼ inches or 11 centimeters. We're not going to really get too much of an accurate length as far as the length to the antler here, but as far as a height goes, you are looking at roughly around the 4¾ inch range or about 12 centimeters. So it's actually a quite nicely sized figure, but it's nothing huge or anything like that. And to show you that for a size comparison,
there is Mr. Papo T-Rex, the Attack Pack Dilophosaurus, and Robert Muldoon from the Mattel Jurassic World toy line, next to our Papo 2020 Megaloceras, showing you that again, the figure is roughly in the medium size range, actually like a smaller medium, I will say, but overall, I think it's actually a pretty good size for the figure and definitely an appealing size. It's not something that's going to be, overwhelmingly large, taking up too much room in your collection, but it's definitely not too small, so pretty nicely sized overall.
So this Papo 2020 Megaloceras is a really, really cool figure, and honestly, as far as I'm concerned, a pretty shocking release. I did not ever expect Papo to release a figure of this species for this year. It just was not something that I considered a possibility on the part of Papo. They don't usually go for such obscure species like this that, just generally even prehistoric mammals, you don't see that very often from Papo. So the fact that they did, in fact, make this figure is really exciting for me because I am a huge fan of prehistoric mammals. So anytime I can get a new one from any company, I am 1000% in, but especially from Papo, as they have a pretty good track record, I think, as far as releasing really nice prehistoric mammal figures, as they have some pretty nice figures previously. In fact, this reminds me that I need to get a hold of the cave bear that they've released. I still don't have that figure, which is very unfortunate for me, but something I'm definitely going to have to get a hold of in the very near future. But again, this Megaloceras is really beautifully done, very nice sculpt, again, with a stance that kind of makes it look like the animal's just a very proud member of its group and just generally a really nice large animal like it was. Beautifully done as far as the fine detailing as well. You can see lots of really nice muscle tone displayed throughout the figure, making it look nice and strong. And you can also see some beautiful fur details sculpted out through the entire figure in every area. The paint job, of course, isn't quite as nice as what we had seen on the promotional images, but I honestly think it looks pretty good for what it is. Has some nice transitioning back and forth between some really nice naturalistic tones of color. The antlers specifically are beautifully painted with, again, some very nice, very subtle differences in color that you just kind of have to get in the light to take a nice look at, and you'll really be able to pick up on quite a few different shades of color included, which again helps the overall realism of the figure. And unfortunately, this is the final of the 2020 figures from Papo, but the Papo 2021 figures will hopefully be not too far off in the future. It's probably going to take some time before they actually start to release, but regardless, at least we have had a little bit of Papo for this year. Maybe not as much as we were hoping for, but a few really cool figures and a few really cool repaints. So regardless, this figure is definitely a really nice addition to the Papo line, and I will include a link in the description for anybody interested in picking it up to everythingdinosaur.com, as that's where I purchased mine. So make sure you head to the description, go buy this absolutely fantastic Megaloceras from Papo, and make sure you like, comment, and subscribe, and I will see you in the next review. Thanks for watching.